Hello and welcome to the Downsized. I'm Laraine Durham here with my husband.
Christopher Durham.
And today we're talking about a special that just came out on YouTube last night with Oprah Winfrey and Weight Watchers. It's called Oprah and Weight Watchers, Making the Shift, a new way to think about weight. It's out there on YouTube now. You can go watch it. We've just watched it, all 3 hours of it.
It's a long special.
Kind of buckle yourself. Actually, I watched it in two parts. I watched some
Mhm.
last night and I watched the rest of it today. It was a lot to take in. I actually had to stop watching it last night because it's just a lot.
So for regular viewers, this isn't actually our weekly weigh-in. This is a special edition just to talk about the Oprah special and give you our hot take and what we thought from each of our individual perspectives. So
Yeah.
what'd you think? It was a lot, I know.
So I'm a member of Weight Watchers. I got an email that this was happening. They didn't mention it in our Weight Watchers meeting at all, which I thought was a big disconnect. But I got a couple emails about it, how you could sign up to watch this special live. You could even sign up to be a member of the audience or a member of the Zoom type audience if you wanted to. So, of course, I signed up and I did not get picked. But
You didn't get invited to be on the big screen.
I didn't. So someday, Oprah, I'd love to talk to you in person. But
Yeah.
anyway, there was also a workbook that you could download. And I printed it out. I have it here. And, I got about an hour in, and there was a whole section on unpacking weight loss traumas. How has weight affected your life? How would your life be different if you didn't have this holding your back? What would your life be like 10 years from now if you don't do something about your weight? So there was there's just a lot of emotional issues for me that I did not want to unpack. So I paused it and had to restart it today.
So can I ask some questions? And I don't want to mansplain or appear like the asshole. So if I am, just punch me in the face. I don't want to.
Not really.
I was intrigued. First of all, 3 hours. Holy cow. That could be an entire series. It could have been like a 9-part episode.
People like me who have had weight loss issues forever could literally talk about this forever. I feel like I could do this show live talking about weight loss issues forever. So 3 hours, yeah, that was a long time. I don't know why they made it so long. It was YouTube and they just went as long as they wanted to go. I like that there were no commercial interruptions.
Yeah.
There were no advertisements for Weight Watchers or Wegovy or Manjaro or Eli Lilly. It was just a little bit more granular than, I guess, her last special.
And the nice thing about YouTube is you can fast forward. So don't get lost in the 3 hours.
Yeah.
If you're bored with a section or you want to jump ahead to a different chapter, do, because there's a lot of great information in there.
There is.
Some of it is, to use the popular term, triggering.
It really was
a lot.
triggering. To go back and think about every time somebody called you a name or every time your weight held you back from doing something you wanted to do.
It's a lot.
It's too much. It's too much.
It is. So I was intrigued because although Weight Watchers is in the name, as you said, it wasn't really a commercial for Weight Watchers. No. And at times it was not kind to Weight Watchers.
No, and they had the CEO of Weight Watchers, Seema Sistani, and I guess she apologized for saying that eating less and exercising more was the Weight Watchers mantra for years, and that was what they said that you just needed to do.
It's on their wall, right?
So many things. When she basically said they were wrong. And they didn't know. But I think everybody was just doing the best they could. But now that we have this knowledge, now that we know that obesity is a disease, and I still have to let that sink in, that it's not your fault. It's how your brain chemistry
it's your biology.
It's different from other people's. And it's very hard. You can't fight biology. You can't fight your body telling you to store more energy so you can stay alive through a famine.
But Oprah loved that, right? So there was one of the doctors that was on there shifted the conversation from weight
Yeah.
from storing
More
weight to storing
storing energy.
energy.
Dr. Enya from the Yale School of Obesity Medicine or something along
And
those
it's
lines.
basically biologically, you are better at storing energy. And
Right.
if there's a famine, you survive, and the skinny people don't.
We will
right?
survive during a famine. Like Oprah's like, I'm going to be surviving during the famine, and some of y'all won't be. It was very tongue in cheek, but it was. But basically, that's what it was. Your biology, your brain is telling you you need to store energy. You need to eat because you need to keep storing energy because there's going to be a famine and you might be starving. And so we're going to store. And that is what triggers the food noise that a lot of people have, is that drive from your brain to store more energy. And some people have that drive to store more energy and end up with obesity or have obesity, and some people don't. And that's just an example of how everybody's different and not everybody is affected by obesity.
So let me circle back to Weight Watchers,
Yeah.
because Oprah didn't let them get away with things. And Oprah said,
No.
hey, I was on the board, I resigned. So I get asked
Yeah.
the hard questions.
Yeah. And I thought that it was interesting that Oprah included Weight Watchers in this 3-hour conversation because she didn't have to.
Were they paying? I mean, their logo's in the name of the event.
I don't
It's
know. I
Oprah
mean,
and Weight Watchers
it's
hosts.
on YouTube. There's no advertisements. There's no commercials. There's no. I don't know if anybody's making money off of this. Maybe Oprah from being on YouTube. I don't see any.
Somebody's getting money from those watch hours.
I did click subscribe to the Weight Watchers YouTube channel, so they're getting subscribers. It was on their channel, but Oprah didn't. Oprah has such a platform. She doesn't need Weight Watchers. She doesn't need them. She doesn't. She could have done this all on her own without any Weight Watchers CEO sitting around saying, "Oh, I'm sorry," because basically we were wrong for 40 years or whatever.
Does any of this change how you feel about continuing to attend Weight Watchers, positively or negatively?
I don't know. I think Weight Watchers has a lot of problems and a lot of issues, and they are consistently taking away in-person meetings. They're canceling workshops. They've canceled their products. You can't buy a lot of things from them you used to be able to purchase. I used to go to Weight Watchers in a shopping center, in a storefront in a shopping center for years, for probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. And your phone's ringing. And
Keep going.
And they closed those centers and they moved the meeting locations to a lot of churches, a lot of community centers. And let me tell you, it's weird to be in a Weight Watchers meeting in a sanctuary of a small church in Huntersville, North Carolina.
It sounds like an AA meeting.
Really, yeah, I always said that was my other meeting, but I never went to AA. But it's really weird to sit in the sanctuary of a church and have a Weight Watcher meeting. We've been doing that now for about, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months, and I don't like it. I think Weight Watchers is struggling to hold on to members, and they know they have to change or they're going to go out.
It was an interesting conversation to see them called to the carpet and the CEO, apologized.
Yeah.
By another social media lady had basically called them out on it.
Yeah.
They had them both confrontationally but politely on the screen.
I think I skipped over that part because I was like,
it's a lot.
Lady. Yeah, it was.
It's a lot.
It was a lot.
What else? What were your other observations?
Really?
She has pages of notes here.
Pages of notes. Busy Phillips, the actress, was a guest, and I just loved her because she comes on. She had been on, I guess, something else. They played a clip where she is just, I'm tired of hearing about celebrities on Ozempic. Just give me the Ozempic. I don't effing care. Men in Hollywood have been on HGH or human growth hormone for years, and nobody cared about that.
Do you think they all got buffed by themselves?
Yeah. How do you think a man over 40 stayed in shape in Hollywood? They were on drugs. And so now we see women losing weight in Hollywood. Oh, they're on Ozempic. They're doing this, they're doing that. Stop talking about women's bodies. And she went into this whole thing about she's tired, and I'm tired of women's bodies being up for debate. I'm tired of men trying to decide what women can do with our own bodies. It's maddening and infuriating. And I was glad Busy spoke to that in this kind of
I mean, I
forum.
thought she was fabulous.
She said, we're damned if we do, we're damned
Yep.
if we don't. We're stigmatized for being overweight. We're stigmatized for taking weight loss medications. It's a no-win situation. What'd you think of Busy?
I thought Busy was fabulous.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love her outfit.
Yeah, if you don't know
Also.
Busy, she's been around for a long time. She was in Freaks and Geeks
I
years
never watched
ago.
that show.
She's in a show now called Girls Five Eva.
Girls Five
She's
Eva.
hysterical.
Is it on Netflix?
I think it is on Netflix.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
And she has a talk show starting up here, I think
on QVC, they said.
I think so.
What is it? What was the name of it? It had her name in the title. Busy at
all
night.
night or something. Busy at night.
Yeah, that's cute.
So she's just fabulous, and they had some other stars on there, right? So Rebel
Wilson, fantastic. And Rebel Wilson said she wanted to be an actress growing up. She ended up going to school and getting a law degree, still wanted to be an actress.
She's a lawyer.
Yeah, she has a law degree, which I didn't know. But she figured out that if heavy girls, they could be funny and be on screen. And that was the route she saw for herself, being heavier, being overweight. We love her in Pitch Perfect.
She's Fat Amy in Pitch Perfect, right? So she's made a living off being fat.
She said, I've made millions of dollars off of being fat in these movies. And she literally has. And it wasn't until she started looking at her health more seriously and she was getting a little bit older and thought about freezing some of her eggs. And she went to her doctor, who basically looked at her and said, this would be a whole lot easier if you were healthy, if you weren't overweight. And she went, crap, maybe I need to get healthy. So she called her agent up and said, hey, maybe I want to lose some weight and get healthy. And her agent said, no, why? You're making millions. Why do you want to do that? And she decided her health was more important than being Fat Amy in 3 movies of Pitch Perfect. So
you got another one they're getting ready to start making too.
And I love her in the movie Pitch Perfect because she is unapologetically Fat Amy. And she is fantastic. She can sing, she can dance, she's a boss, she knows it, she gets the guy. In
the third one, she battles. Like Keanu Reeves kind of battles.
You're like John Lithgow plays her dad, and he's this bad, like, spy dude. And you guys have all seen it, but I just love her. Yeah. And she wanted to get healthy, so it was worth not being Fat Amy anymore.
So there was a lot of doctors and professors and sorts of things.
Yeah.
The professor, Tessa McMillan Cottom from UNC Chapel Hill, who had written an article when Oprah finished her series saying
her Oprah show, and she ended her Oprah show,
saying basically that she had come to terms with her weight.
I don't think it was exactly like that. It was she had settled in, or we need
settled
to go back.
In, I think is
settled into her weight. And Oprah said, and Oprah, God bless Oprah, having that many articles written about you and magazine covers of you and people constantly criticizing your weight and what you look like for your whole career, I would have crumbled after 5 minutes. And Oprah went on for, I don't know, 30 years or what, my whole life, it seems like. But anyway, Oprah said she read that article about her settling into her weight, and she said, I didn't really think of it that way. I didn't really see it that way, but maybe that's what I did. So Oprah called this woman up and wanted to have a whole conversation with her, which, again, I would have just crumbled.
Interesting, because she brought challenging people. These weren't all people that necessarily agreed with her. No. They weren't people that were necessarily Oprah fans or Weight Watchers fans.
No.
So parts of this,
it had to be hard.
Were difficult.
Hard for her. I can't even imagine. And so many people, like Busy Phillips, was like, I'm talking to Oprah. I love you so much. And so many of the people thanked her for giving this platform to this issue, because I think Dr. Enya even said, thank you. I work with patients who have obesity every day, and thank you for bringing this to the forefront of everybody's conversations, because It's very difficult. It's difficult for patients to talk to their family, to talk to their doctor, to get help. They're stigmatized if they get help. They're stigmatized if they don't lose weight.
Mm.
It's a constant
I just
struggle.
thought when you and I started talking about doing this, it took us a while to get there, right?
Yeah, I didn't know if I wanted to. Wanted to bare my soul to the world.
And I'll tell you, people think guys don't care,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I've never said my weight out loud to anyone in my life until this.
I might have gotten you out of gotten
I've
it out of
if
you
I
once or
have no, but
twice.
nobody. I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't.
Yeah, it's not something
Mm-mm.
that
It was like talking about finances or religion or something. I
yeah, how
just
much money
didn't.
you
You
make,
didn't do it.
you just don't say.
So this professor from North Carolina, I thought it was
Mhm.
interesting. She talked a lot about what she called an obesity penalty. She focused almost
Yeah,
exclusively on women,
yeah.
and she said that obese people were valued differently, and that specifically obese women were valued differently. And I don't please don't think I'm mansplaining. I'm quoting this this lady,
No,
right?
I know, and I really had to think hard about that because I worked in the fashion industry. I was a clothing buyer.
Mhm.
I worked in the industry for 20 years. Before that, I worked in retail as a manager, as a store manager, and I really had to think about that if, how weight affected jobs I got, promotions I had or didn't have. And and I'll really never know if that was really,
She didn't
eh,
cite sources.
it's
I don't know
hard.
what the statistics are, but
It's easy to say, oh, yeah, well, I didn't get that promotion because they thought I was fat. What
well,
really was it? I don't know.
and what she
I don't
said
know.
was obese women are paid less. They
Yeah.
have fewer job opportunities when they're unemployed longer, and they earn less over their lifetime.
Hmm.
As a father, that scares the hell out of me. I
Girls.
know
Yeah.
essentially that women make less, and that's just the wrong thing. If you're the same quality to me, you should make the same money. So then you add weight into the factor.
Hmm.
I'm not okay with that.
I'm glad you're not okay with that. We shouldn't be okay with that. I think through the women that I've known that I've worked with who have been overweight, I worked with one lady who was seriously overweight. Like she would avoid going on some shopping trips to Europe because she physically could not walk up and down the steps of the Paris Metro subway. Like
Mhm.
she just wouldn't go. And what did she miss out on? What did I miss out? It's just I'm sure there is. And as a woman, I feel like there were times that I definitely got passed over for a male counterpart. Just looking at the bosses I had in the different companies that I worked for as a buyer, all the bosses except for one, Marla Men's, all the bosses except for one were men. I had very few women role models coming up through these companies. And so I really appreciated when I did have a female boss at one time, and I really tried to learn from her, but that just is a whole pay disparity, men versus women thing.
And what I found interesting was, and honestly, what I disagreed with the professor on was she said there was no obesity bias for men at all.
Mhm.
I would never claim that men have it as bad as women.
Mhm.
Unquestionably, it's worse for women. I would tell you, I worked at a Fortune 5 retailer. And when we sat in our annual meetings and you looked at the stage of all the
Pretty
executives,
people.
there was skinny, pretty, white,
Mm.
male predominantly,
Mhm.
a woman in HR,
Oh, yeah. There's
right?
always a woman in HR.
There was no one of even a medium-sized weight sitting on that stage. There was nobody that looked like me.
Mm-mm.
So did I get passed over because of weight? I have no idea. I can tell you there was no evidence that a fat person was ever gonna be on that stage.
Yeah, no, I definitely believe that. That's why it was so amazing to me that Oprah was as successful as she was in the
Mhm,
80s. Because I remember when Oprah started, and I mentioned to one of my friends, "Oh, yeah, I gotta get home from school so I can watch Oprah,"
mhm.
and she said, "That fat lady? You're watching that fat lady on
Ugh.
TV?" It's like, dang, but yeah, I did for a long time.
And I'll go on with the man thing for just a minute. I love what Oprah's doing and absolutely, but I'll tell you, there was one male guest on there.
Yeah.
That's it. 3 hours.
Yeah.
There's one man on there.
It was not a men-centric show.
Yeah, so
It was a woman-centric
it
show
was a
for sure.
woman-centric show, and there was a
Yeah.
gentleman from Canada named Rodney who they had put a call out, as you said, to tell your story.
He was answered the email and wanted to be on the Zoom people in the background. I don't even think they were planning on having him at all.
Yeah.
And somehow he talked to one of the producers and told him his sad, traumatic story. And
So basically, this guy, as a kid, had been the heavy kid, was on a school bus. The kids were mean to him, and they started calling him Bow Cow.
his last name was Bowers or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
And it stuck with him through, I think, all the way through school.
Yeah.
And it was just terrible.
And it was always playing in his mind.
Mhm.
And although he said he'd never told that story to anyone in his life until today, and the man's got to be in his like 40s,
Yeah.
wouldn't you say? It's stuck in his mind, and it was as fresh in his mind today as it was the 30 years ago when it happened. And it was just his trauma. And every overweight kid has a similar trauma. But they definitely were not focused on men. This was not a show
No.
that was focused on men or their problems. It was a very woman-centric show.
Which is fine. I get it. I
Yeah.
will tell you, Oprah, if you're watching, which I'm sure you are not, but if you are, hi.
Call me.
Include us, please. I mean, although it
yeah.
is certainly more acceptable for men to be of a larger size, we have traumas and experiences that should be addressed in this conversation as well.
Mhm. And we've got an interview series coming up. Christopher did an interview with a male. I've been doing these interview series mostly with women, people I know, people I had just met. And this interview is a man who had reached out and said, "Hey, I want to be on your show. So if you want to be on our show, put a note in the comments and we'll reach out." And I thought his story was very interesting because you don't often hear a man talking about a lifelong struggle with weight. I can name 25 female friends today that will tell you flat out, I have had a lifelong struggle with weight. And male friends,
But I think it's because we're not allowed to. We don't even know we can talk about it.
and it's different to me. It's like men don't get the stigma that women do unless they are severely overweight. Like I've always been a good 10, 20 pounds overweight, and I felt severely stigmatized for it. And you talked about someone asking you if you had been a former football player. Like football players.
But that's because that's the only acceptable reason to be big.
But women don't even have that. There's no acceptable reason for, and I played sports. I did year-round swimming. I played softball. I was a cheerleader. I did all the sports, but you were expected to be skinny.
And I have no desire to
sports.
Say my trauma is better or worse than anybody else's trauma.
No, it's
just saying, hey, Oprah, there's guys out there that would like to be part of this conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
Our trauma is different. Let's all talk about it.
But my trauma's more.
My trauma's more.
I have more trauma than you.
What else did you think? There was so much over the course of 3 hours.
So once again, we went over the fact that obesity is a disease. It's not about willpower, and it's not your fault. That's really something that I'm going to have to say out loud about 1,000 more times before I think I really believe it. I'm sitting here saying it. I'm sitting here telling you to believe it. I can't learn all those diets I've been on and all those times when I was told you just need more willpower. You just need to exercise more. You just aren't eating the right foods. You just need to do X, Y, or Z. And X, Y, and Z, they worked up to a point. I think all diets can work up to a point. You can willpower your way through so far, but then your biological thing is your body's gonna win.
One of the guests said in that conversation that it's not a moral failing.
It's not a moral failing.
Which to me is huge because a lot of American kids, I went to a Presbyterian high school and elementary school, and the 10 Commandments and gluttony and sloth and all this stuff were sins, right?
They just kicked me out of that school. I wouldn't have lasted a day there.
But there's that thread undergoing every bit of the conversation that if you are overweight, it's a moral failing. You have sinned.
You're dumb. You're not smart.
You're lazy. You're
right. I've heard all those things. All those things.
To then be told by doctors from UNC and Yale that this is
Oprah.
your biology, this is genetics, this is science, this is
science.
medicine.
It's not your fault. It's not a question of willpower. It's not because you're dumb or lazy or stupid. Really? I just thought maybe I could work harder. Maybe I could run
I don't know
further.
anybody who worked harder than you on this, babe. I don't. You were running marathons at one point and couldn't get down to the weight you thought you should be.
I ran 2 half marathons at 185 pounds, and I was just hurting myself.
This is why we're on this. Most people call this a journey. I've started to call it an adventure because it seems like more of an adventure than a journey. But the GLP-1s, the Wegovy, the Ozempic, the Zepbound, the Mounjaro have created opportunities to overcome our biology.
Right.
If overcome is the right word.
Or to quiet the biology that thinks you're going to starve to death in a famine.
Yeah.
And that worked out great for our ancestors thousands of years ago, but not. And I think what was it that they said? We live in an obesogenic environment.
I had never heard that word. I thought that was a fabulous word.
I wrote it down. Obesogenic environment. This is Dr. Enya from Yale. Obesity is a neural metabolic disease. So I'd heard Oprah say obesity is a disease, but a neural metabolic disease. This is a doctor from Yale saying this to Oprah. Okay. And she also said we live in an obesogenic environment. In today's society, we sit at a desk, we type on a computer. You don't even have to stand up. You don't have to go out. You can have things brought to you. Amazon, DoorDash, Uber Eats will bring all the things to your door. Mm-hmm. So we have to move really very little, but we can still consume like we're going and plowing the field or chasing the bear or looking for food. It's our society has just changed.
We live in a society that expects constantly larger and larger portions, right? You read a restaurant review, right. The portions weren't large enough.
You hate that.
I do, because you go to Europe, you have a like normal sized portion and the food tastes better. So I'd rather have a higher quality, smaller portion.
Right.
But that's the most common thing. You pick up any Yelp review, all the portions were too small.
Right. That's America's consumer.
You go shop at a grocery store, and I'm in this industry and we're working against it as hard as we can. They're building packaged goods products to be high fat, high sugar, high salt, high everything to make you as addicted as possible.
Designed to light up your brain, all the centers, and to make you want more.
And at the same time, we're not exercising. We're eating these things that are designed to light us up, but in general, culture. So it's that obesogenic environment.
Right. And it doesn't set anybody up for success. I'll tell you that. It just does not.
So the other thing I wondered what you thought. So they talked a lot about changing the language around obesity, around dieting, around weight loss.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts around that conversation?
One lady talked about, and I didn't take notes on this, but since you mentioned it, she always viewed her body as something that was working against her. I hate my body. I hate my thighs. I hate my hips. She changed her inner dialogue to view her body as she's awesome. She carries me around. She looks great today. And I'd never thought about it like that. The self-talk that we internally tell ourselves can be debilitating and so traumatic. We're just traumatizing ourselves. I hate the way I look. I hate my weight. I hate my stomach. I could list off a million things that I hate about myself. And then they were asking people, what do you like about yourself? Name some things your body does for you that are great. And people were like, huh? Like, Oprah's, I had a knee replacement and I didn't realize just bending my knee was something great that my body could do. I never realized how great that was until I couldn't go up the stairs and I couldn't do it. So it's, I think, shifting that internal dialogue we have with ourselves.
And see, that's not at all where I thought that was going to go.
I might have gone off.
No, I think that's perfect because that was your interpretation. I
Yeah.
think it's absolutely where I was. It wasn't. I agree with that. What you said. I think the language conversation for me was more an external one because they had just shown the lady from the Wall Street Journal, or I forget, it's one of the newspapers, and they did a whole video on the history of weight loss, and they showed you Twiggy from early on, and the 70s, and there was a whole conversation around language in the media, and language, newspapers, media, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And in my head, I was like, how can we help shape the language? Because we're having a conversation, hopefully, with thousands of people out there, hundreds of thousands of people. So what language should we be using?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either, but I want to know. And if you guys have thoughts, please.
Yeah. You had some people in the audience that were the whole body positivity camp. Like, I'm fat and I'm fabulous and I love myself and you can't tell me that I don't love myself. And that's great. If that's you and that's how you feel, that's great. That's never been how I felt, and I don't think I could ever feel that way.
And the one doctor who they asked, the lady in the audience asked a question about that. I don't remember the doctor's name, but responded back and basically said the same thing you did. Said, that's absolutely, we want you to feel good about yourself, all those things. However, as a physician, it's my job, and I'm quoting,
Dr. Enya.
Paraphrasing. Was it Enya?
Yeah, she's the best doctor ever. I was like, can you be my doctor? I was like, can she be my doctor? She was just like the nicest lady ever.
Dr. Enya, paraphrasing her, was to understand the long-term implications of being 200 pounds, 300 pounds, 400 pounds overweight are your joints may have an issue, and she went through the whole thing. So it's, yes, I want you to feel good about yourself and be okay with it. I also want you to understand.
It was the one lady who was on the Zoom, and she was a younger lady, probably in her early 30s. And she said, I have a BMI of 60, which is morbidly obese. My labs are good. My blood pressure's good. I'm good. She's come at me, bro. And
I'm like, what are you, 25?
She was daring the doctor to say no. And the Dr. Enya, just really was like, I'm so glad. She said, first of all, BMI is something we just use for screening. It really shouldn't be used for anything or any measure of anything. She said, I'm really glad that your labs are good. That's fantastic. If you're good where you are, then that's great. 10 or 20 years from now, right now you're young and youth is great and youth can overcome a lot of things. And that's always what I used to think too, is I'm overweight, but I've never had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, none of that. Like, I always was a very healthy, overweight person. So I was like, who cares? But she said, when you get older, your knees might fail. Oprah, yep, I had those replaced. Your things in the future, because you carried this weight for so long, may start to break down. So it might be something that you want to address or not. And she came back to her with such a understanding passion that I wouldn't expect to hear from a doctor, because doctors I've always talked to are always like, you're fat and you need to lose weight. Not to that extreme, but not ever in a nice way. No, not ever in such a nice way. And we have some nice doctors, but I think Christopher's doctor one time told me maybe you should try a plant-based diet. That's what I do.
And he was on that kick for a while.
I'm like, plant-based diet? What? I don't even know what that means. I don't even know. Anyway, that's another story. But yeah, there was such a wide variety of people in the audience, and a wide variety of people that she talked to. I guess that's why it took 3 hours, because they just got everybody in. Probably could have gone on for another 3 hours, but.
So if you had to wrap it all up in a bow, what was your thought?
Oh, the lady in the purple, the lady from UNC Chapel Hill. She
You
professor.
got to give her props.
No, you're right. We
Yeah.
should we'll put her name or something in the.
I think I said it earlier.
I
Her
think you
name is
did.
Professor Tressie McMillan Cottom.
Yes. So at the end, Oprah went around to each person she had talked to and wanted them to kind of wrap it up, summarize any final thoughts. And this professor said, if we want to feel less shame about who and what we are and about our bodies, we have to stigmatize other people's bodies less. If we want to be free, we have to free other people. I'll read that again. If we want to feel less shame about who and what we are and about our bodies, we have to stigmatize other people's bodies less. I don't know if you heard that or thought about that at all.
No, I did. Absolutely.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
I absolutely agree. There's just so much packed into there that
I think we're Generation X. We grew up raised in diet culture and we saw Twiggy. We weren't old enough for Twiggy, but we definitely knew heroin chic and we knew fad diets and we did all the things. We were told that if we weren't skinny, we weren't good enough, basically.
we were told if it was okay to make fun of people. So
Well, and even as an overweight person, as an overweight person, looked at people maybe heavier than me and thought, oh, she's doing a terrible job.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like I was stigmatizing other people while I was being stigmatized myself. And maybe one is a symptom of the other, but and I have to stop doing that. I have to stop looking at other people and saying, I wonder why she got into this situation. I wonder what she eats. I wonder if she exercises. Like, it's just so easy to slip into that because we've always been conditioned to think that. And it's so hard to make the shift to something different. Even for me, a person who struggled with being overweight my whole life.
Well, and I don't know. I listened to all of this and agreed with 99.9% of it. To me, it came back to a personal thing of I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm overweight. So it's about what can I personally do and what language can I change. And I don't even know that I know the answer, but I know we have to continue to have the conversation. And I think it's exciting to have this platform to have conversations. Maybe we can figure it out. Maybe is that our purpose? Is that our job? Is that what we're really doing here?
I don't know that I'll ever figure anything
Well,
out, but
and that's why it's a journey.
it's such a traumatic conversation. I can't even talk about the section when they were like your weight loss traumas and affecting there's so much. And it doesn't even, and even with the little bit that I unpack a little bit at a time, it doesn't do me any good to relive those traumas. What good is that doing? So I definitely want to change the conversation because I don't want people to feel the way I felt growing up. It's just hard. It's a hard conversation. And this is why we don't have these conversations is because they're so emotion packed. When everybody has these traumas from our classmates, from our parents, from our grandparents, from other people, from the guy in Lululemon who told me, well, "Man, we only go up to a size 14 here." What? What? I can't even talk about that whole like, I can't even I have so many chips, just little chips away at my sanity, really. I Did you read what I posted about the red leggings?
I did not.
So, A few years ago, I used to go to this bar studio place near me, and it was
So,
after
as I understand,
uh
it's not a bar. It's
no, it was a workout, like ballet
pure,
bar.
like pure bar kind of thing,
I
right?
wasn't gonna mention the name,
That's
but
okay.
it was a ballet bar exercise place, and this is right after COVID, right at the end of COVID, and so before COVID, I had been going to basically a CrossFit gym with a guy who was a former Panthers NFL player and his wife, who was a former Army Airborne Ranger.
They're both badasses here.
They are bad asses, and we'd work in small groups, and they would like, "Laraine, I see you're not doing it. I see you cheating over there, girl. You better do those jumping jacks and those mountain climbers because we're doing it." And I had a group of women I worked out with, and I really liked it. It really kicked my butt, and I was working really hard. And then COVID came and the gym closed. And I tried to do some things at home, but it wasn't the same. I could never work out at home because nobody was watching me.
Mhm.
I'm someone who has to be the best in the class and the top of the class. And I don't want to, if somebody's watching me, I'm going to work out 5 times harder. COVID came and we were at home for about a year and I could not go back to that gym. I gained so much weight and I was so out of shape. And I was walking 3 miles pretty much every day during COVID. I'd put my headphones on and I'd walk for an hour and a half. I walked a lot, but we were also, and I was drinking a lot because it was a sad pity party time
It
and we
was.
couldn't go out and be with our friends and yada yada. You guys know the story. So I started back to this ballet bar class and was definitely, I can think of about 3 other women out of the 50, 60, 70 women who went there regularly. Probably about me and 2 other women were the heavy ones. These other women were, this was a very expensive workout place. It was very expensive. Why I even decided to do this, I'm not sure. But I decided it was something different, something I hadn't done before, and I'd done all the things. So I went to this place and they were so nice to me and so welcoming, even at me over 200 pounds coming into this place with all these little skinny ladies and their little skinny workout, perfectly matched outfits. And I liked it. It wasn't intense. My CrossFit type gym place was. It was a very, you lift your leg about 1,000 times and it gets heavy after a while. And you're like, oh, yeah, that was a good workout. And I did a lot of stretching. It's like a Pilates, yoga, fusion kind of thing. And it was a good workout. Did I lose any weight? No, I did not. It was not a. Was not a
You were
place for
healthy
it
though.
was not a place for weight loss. It was a place for, I always said it was a place for skinny girls who maybe had a baby and thought, "Oh, now I'm fat and I need to work out. This is my workout." And these are mostly women who had never been in sports or done a lot of really hardcore type exercise that I had done in my previous uh, workouts. So anyway, this is a long roundabout way to get to the story, but they had a little shop, and they still do, in the front of in front of the studio, and they sold leggings and sports bras and socks and all the things. And they're very expensive, like $100. They sold Lululemon in there, and they sold other very expensive legging brands. And they'd have little contests and raffles all the time. So I put my name in for one to win a pair of leggings that they were this new brand that they were carrying. And it was the weirdest thing. I told the girl when I put my name in, I said, "I'm winning these leggings. I will be picked as the winner." She's like, "Yeah, Laraine. All right, very nice." Sure enough, my name was picked as the winner. So I won these red leggings. And I was a good size 14, pushing 16 at the time. And most of these things, and this pair of leggings was a large. Okay, I should be able to wear a large. Okay. And I put these on and they were tight and they had little like ridges in them that kind of like form fit to like your knees and your butt and like waist and the whole thing. So I said, "Oh, I'm going to wear my new leggings to bar class." And one of the instructors also had that same type of legging. A lot of the women in the studio had purchased the same type of legging. So obviously, the biggest one wearing this particular style of leggings and cute little bar lady, woman. All the instructors are so cute and so nice and so personable. And I really liked them a lot. She looked at me and she said, "Wow, those leggings really do look good on everyone."
Passive aggressive much?
And she wasn't saying it like to be she had never said a mean thing to me or looked at me any kind of way, but I'm like, "Ugh, I'm not part of this club. I'm not, this isn't where I belong." I mean, everybody's nice enough to me, but I don't really, I'm too big to fit in here.
Mm.
And so besides the fact it was very expensive, I ended up switching to another gym. So now I go to a gym that's also a senior center, and they have a great facility. They have a track, they have bar classes, they have step aerobics, which I love, and a dance aerobics, which I love. And I wore the red leggings. I got the red leggings out. I don't think I've worn them since the lady made the comment to me. I pulled them out of the thing and I thought, you know what? I'm at my goal weight. And if I don't wear these now, then when the hell am I ever going to wear them? I'm going to wear these red leggings. So I put them on, but with a black top, and I took a picture of myself wearing the red leggings and I put it on one of my Facebook pages. And I told the story of why I hadn't worn them. And my friend Katie posted that, "Laraine, these leggings are too big now on you anyway, so who cares what she thinks," or whatever. I was like, "Katie, I love you." But it's just like those little everyday digs that people may not even realize they're saying. I'm sure if she thought for 1 minute I took it that she was calling me fat, I'm sure she would not have said it out loud in a million years. But she didn't even think about it like that. This is my life.
So can we go back to Oprah now?
If anybody's still watching
If anybody's still watching now. Fabulous.
traumatic life of
Lorraine's dramatic life. So if we had to wrap all this up, first
Yeah.
of all, I'll give you my thought.
Okay.
Thank you, Oprah. I just think it's fabulous that you use your platform to have this
Yes,
conversation.
for sure.
In the future, I'd love to see a series and not 3 hours because that's a marathon.
I don't care.
But
I'll watch
but
it
I'm not going
over.
to complain.
You
It's
can put
fun.
on a 24-hour show, Oprah. I'll watch some every day.
I love the doctors. I love the professors. I love the conversation. Hopefully we can be part of it. What was your kind of take?
I feel like the original Oprah special that aired on ABC a few months ago is what made us start thinking about this. Because we'd been on Manjaro, Tirzepatide for about 6 months when we saw the Oprah special, and really, I hadn't told a whole lot of people about it, and I had still been under the thought that maybe I'm cheating by taking this medication, and maybe I'm taking an easy way out, and that's, as we know now, that's not the case. Nothing easy about any of this, and obesity is a disease, and it's not your fault, and but it wasn't really until Oprah said those things that kind of stuck in my
Mhm.
head, and I don't know if anybody else had said it, it probably wouldn't have had that effect on me. One lady in the audience said to Oprah, the professor, Oprah asked, how did you relate to me or something? And the woman said, "I was a little black girl growing up, and there was never anyone on TV that looked like me. And here's Oprah, and she's a black lady, a heavyset lady on TV. So I identified as Oprah." And to me, there's lots of people on TV that have blue eyes and blonde hair and white
Well,
skin.
that's
Like
part of the privilege.
that was never an issue, but there was never a fat person on TV that people respected and wanted to listen to until Oprah.
Yeah, they were always the comic relief, right?
Yeah, and here's Oprah. Here's this very heavy set lady. In the 80s, she was heavy. And on my heaviest weight in high school, remember being 230 pounds and being like, there's somebody on TV that is heavier than me, and people listen to them. They want to talk to them. They don't discredit what they're saying. And that was real light bulb moment for me as a teenager. You probably never watched Oprah and the
No,
Weight
I didn't. Everybody watched Oprah. I didn't have the connection to Oprah that you did.
Yeah, no.
That's very personal, and I appreciate that. This has been a marathon. I think this is our
Yeah.
longest video today.
Maybe we'll make it a 3-part special.
Yeah, maybe it should be a 3-part special. I don't know. I don't know. If you're still here, thanks. We appreciate it. It's just part of the ongoing conversation. We want to be able to be part of your adventure, your journey, talking about these GLP-1s we believe in so much, and
Yes.
helping redefine the conversation and the language, and just building this family that we call the Downsized, right? Family. You talk to commenters every day. What are they?
Talk to commenters?
Yeah, the people who comment on our videos.
They like your news segments. Who would? Not me, but apparently you do appreciate the news segments. So we've heard you. Whatever. I guess Christopher was right.
Happens once in a blue moon.
No, but yeah, thank you for letting us know that you do like the news segments and that you are watching. And think about the person who commented who has the box of Manjaro in the fridge that's afraid to start. And that's the person I want to talk to. That's
the family. We're not doctors. I can't give you medical advice.
No, we can't prescribe
but I can be your brother, your uncle, your dad, or whatever you need, and we can talk and have a conversation. Maybe we help a little bit. I don't know. Maybe.
Help ourselves along the way.
Would you like to wrap it up?
I'm exhausted. Sure. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Here's something I learned from another channel. If you've watched this far, let me know by putting the word, pick a word. Pickleball in your comment, or just say, I love pickleball or something. And that way we'll know that you have watched all the way to the end, and we thank you. So please like and subscribe. And we're the Durhams for the Downsized. I'm Laraine Durham.
And I'm Christopher Durham.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.